Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with me, Imperial Dane, and welcome to the Market Garden days, as today is the day that Operation Market Garden did in fact begin, the 17th September, one day when a German soldier looked across the open skies and rather noticed that, hey, wait a minute, it doesn't bloody well snow in September, and rather realized the Allies were attacking. One of the largest airborne invasions in the world. It was also a pretty huge failure in the long run, since they had rather underestimated the glorious power of the Wehrmacht. And also I rather feel this map 2 vs 2 in fact is rather fitting for it, since there's a lot of crashed gliders. So a 2 vs 2 on rails and metals, and of course since this is Market Garden we'll of course be having some Brits. Yes indeed, IvanandDmitriy, 30th Corps, and alongside them G43allboyschoir. I'm sure they have very lovely singing voices, then again since the G43's probably lovely shooting voices. There you go, they'll probably represent some sort of airborne troops, although they probably won't be looking like it, alas. Opposing them shall be Slaithium and YYYXXX. Clever name, but there we go, Kampfgruppe Slaithium quickly organized to put a stop to this, and of course let us not neglect the map, with some roads crisscrossing right through everything. The central victory point under cover by this building, which of course is the rather strategic building or tactical building of this map, able to cover several points, in fact 2 victory points, which is rather important to note, which of course makes this building incredibly important and well thought over, although again you can subvert it and in fact sort of ignore it and focus elsewhere, sort of pushing strongly where the player usually isn't, although few rarely do that. This old empty bomb, which is sort of able to cover this area, still doesn't quite have the same tactical importance, partly due to the fact that it's very close to being blown to bits anyways, making it rather hazardous venture to put troops into. Resources are sort of spread throughout the middle. There are some closer to the base, but they are of the more low kind. The more yielding ones are right in the middle of everything, which of course also means you have to go into the map to actually get something rather than just sit back, have a beer and let the resources stream in. So let us get right to it, and hopefully YouTube will be more compliant from now on. Been having a bit of trouble with that, which rather seems to involve me calling on the YouTube people for help to actually get it processed on YouTube. Rather arduous process. The Brits though are heading out rather quickly. Jolly good for King George and all that. Recon section heading westwards. Engineers setting up a barracks, so that's probably mean riflemen right there. Good solid infantry start from the Allies then. Wehrmacht quarters up. Nothing up here, and there's probably just going to be some Panzer grenadiers from the Kampfgruppe. Probably composed of troops of the 9th SS Panzer Division though. Beefed up with elements from other divisions. Possibly some Panzer Brigade action from the 107th Panzer Brigade. Kettenkrats, in fact, large number of Kettenkrats, rather going heavily on the capturing bits, but coming under fire from some brave reconnaissance troops. Not letting Jerry steal their fuel, not on their watch. And yeah, that's a bit unfortunate right there. Infantry section on the move, but beyond territories they're getting a lot more cautious. And looks like they will be heading for this fuel point, of course. Set up a forward command post right there. Of course it currently can't do that since it's not captured. American troops are seizing through the east. Volksgrenadiers through the south. Probably from whatever sort of ad hoc troops that could be mustered. Kriegsmarine. Luftwaffe, Reichsarbeitsdienst, a bit like Normandy, but in a much larger scale. In fact, they would usually compose entire battalions and would be rather thrown at the enemy, since they had not an awful lot of training. And Kettenkrat being sneaky here, rather putting a stop to the British plan of setting up some territory here, moving in the Kettenkrat. But the British troops put a stop to that, gunning down the Kettenkrats, although that does seem a bit like a waste, but we are seeing some Panzer Grenadiers now moving in to put a stop for that, and a bike, motorcycle, Sunda bike, opening up with its LMG, Panzer Grenadiers with the Gewehr 43s. Although one Panzer Grenadier gets sniped by a marksman, more Panzer Grenadiers though are ready to aid. the fight against the British pigs, but more riflemen are moving in from the south. Looks like the Allies are converging on this spot, which is rather going to make things hazardous here for Kampfgruppe Slaithium's troops. British troops, though, are getting slaughtered. My goodness, down to 2 men. And now they will have to make a run for it the entire way back throughout the map. And the headquarters command truck will also have to pull out. Successfully defended here by the Kampfgruppe. It's Panzer Grenadiers and Bike doing an excellent job. Infantry section moving through here, but finding itself out in the open against Panzer Grenadiers who are in cover, and the Bike. And I'd certainly not underestimate the Bike. It is in fact more effective than the LMG 42 when it comes to actually gunning down things. And while that's not an awful lot better, it is still somewhat effective. So if you can keep it in a support role of your infantry, you can actually do quite a bit with it, in fact, in particular if you do a bit of sneaky flanking. German forces pushing through in the east. Looks like we might have an MG42 up here. No, it's Volksgrenadiers taking up the position. Volksgrenadiers, ladies and gentlemen. Not an MG42, rather interesting. But there we go, MG42 moving in here. Could it be setting up a position in the old MTR barn, making it the MG-infested barn from now on? More Panzer Grenadiers advancing, British troops holding out, and looks like the forward headquarters command truck has been setting up there instead. More infantry sections arriving. And now the recon section is retreating the other way. Lots of retreating for them. American troops pushing through in both sides. Good maneuver here, in fact. Although it looks like these could do with a flamethrower. Then they can, in fact, scorch those chaps. And there we go. Flamethrower, fire, burning, dying. And looks like these Volksgrenadiers will be getting an awful lot hot. But a Bike moves in. Badly repaired, but it is there. Saving its Volksgrenadiers brethren. Although it's taking an awful lot of damage. MG42 number 2 setting up. But the engineers do not stop. They want to burn those Volksgrenadiers. They want that kraut barbecue up. Riflemen forced back, but the British are pushing on solidly, stoically in the west. But they are not quite aware of the MG42 hiding inside the old empty barn. Or are they? Could be. There we go, at least now they are without a doubt. The Volksgrenadiers and the rest of the German troops are still holding here. And looks like a mortar pit is going up, ready to bombard the barn. Interesting move, not a bad one. Can certainly also keep this area sort of secure. A mortar is certainly nothing to be scoffed at. Panzer Grenadiers pushing onwards. And looks like they are sending in some half-tracks now. Mortar half-tracks leading the way, and of course... What is this? G43allboyschoir has left the building, or at least the battlefield. That's a bit unfortunate. It looks like a sub-commander will have to take over there. Clearly not as skilled. But considering the situation, I'd certainly not say it's completely dire for him, so... I don't know. His mother called and said he had to go, I don't know. British troops coming under friendly fire from their own mortar. Oh dear. And pushing onwards against the British, but looks like a casualty clearing station is up, ready to pick up those British wounded. And apparently the British medics are allowed to get out of there. But the German mortar half-track advances. Leichte Schützenpanzerwagen mit Mortar, or Granatenwerfer. Americans pushing on through the south into the north. Getting scorched right here. Oh dear, reconnaissance chaps need to get away from the fire. Fire is bad. At least that's what I've always been told. At least not when it's being applied to me, not to my enemies. And looks like Panzer Grenadiers are charging across open ground. Bike moving in. Volksgrenadiers advancing as well. Panzer Grenadiers getting sniped. Looks like the Americans are making a concerted effort here. Grenades ready. My goodness, rifle grenades for the British. Volksgrenadiers cleared out of the building. FG42 could end up rather outflanked heavily. The Americans are really pushing forwards. Rifle grenades, everything flying at the Volksgrenadiers right here. And Assault Blitzkrieg is up for Slaithium. Equipping his Volksgrenadiers with a large amount of grenades. He goes for firepower over tactical nuance, which of course isn't entirely bad, but still. But more munitions being expended on this. The British are barely holding out. Their troops awfully wounded, awfully dead. And more assault grenades flying through the air. Medics pulling in the wounded as fast as they can. Mortar rounds landing. He really needs to spread out his troops. Oh dear, it's not really working out at all. But the Americans are pushing through like madman in the east. Slaithium's eastern flank has utterly collapsed, which could certainly be to the favor of the British. And our Panzer grenades are getting cut down. They need to get out of there. Barely any Panzer grenades alive. Oh dear. The bike might not make it either. Volksgrenadiers also taking heavy losses, and an infantry section has been reformed from the casualty clearing station. My goodness, but the Americans are really pushing on. Assaulting, marching, giving it all they've got. Infantry half-track having to hold the line where everything else has collapsed. Mortar rounds continuing to land on the headquarters command truck, but the mortar half-track is now coming under fire. Kettenkraut doing a bit of work in the north, but apparently the American sub-commander is somehow much more brilliant than the actual commander and is really wreaking havoc on the Wehrmacht lines. My goodness, and this is allowing the British commander to also sort of flex, because now Mr. YYYXXX has to pull back his lines, otherwise he risks getting enveloped, flanked, and horrible business being done to him. But looks like Mr. Slaithium is going for the Sturm Armory, going for the armored cars, probably. Let us go have a look at G43allboyschoir, who has gone for infantry. Of course, a bit harder to say since this is the AI, but still might be something interesting to point out or not. He's certainly pushing onwards, and of course one thing to note about the AI, that while it's not exactly strong, it does have one advantage, and it's extremely clever at finding weak spots and then exploiting them with, well, a sledgehammer, I suppose. And that can really turn it into a master at harassment, in fact. Volksgrenadiers charging right into these rifling grenades being thrown at the Volksgrenadiers, but the riflemen are not looking too well. Riflemen engineers coming under fire, armored cars blazing away. Things are a bit more fluid right now, and looks like the Americans will have to pull back. Armored car opening up, British troops right now in the middle of everything. Lieutenant is exposed. Oh dear, the lieutenant has become a target of the armored car. Not a heavy armored one, but still lieutenant makes a run for it. Bren Gunners, infantry section troops right out in the middle of everything. Oh dear, they are exposed. But a sticky bomb goes off on the armored car. The Americans apparently going for that. And the armored car is lost, but the schwere Panzerspielwagen, the heavy armored car, is on the way. And another armored car straight from YYYXXX is on the way. Kampfgruppe Slaithium fighting for its life. Penned in, suffering heavy losses, but it continues its defiant fight against the British and the Americans. And let us go look at YYYXXX. And mortar half-track might be out of control. There we go. But the armored car forces the British troops to retreat. Riflemen pushing on, but coming under heavy fire, suppressed. And looks like Slaithium is relying now on the more stout SS Panzer Grenadiers under his command. Good show there. Armored car charging in. Coming under fire though from the engineers. British commander still holding out, and looks like another infantry section is ready to get reconstituted, but there's so far no support units. No support truck. Nothing else from the Americans. And looks like YYYXXX is now getting the Hetzer. He's going tank destroyer. Interesting. Perhaps expecting some armor, although the Hetzer as a sort of light assault gun and was in fact intended as an assault gun, of course, can work like that. Although interesting to note, the Hetzer didn't actually arrive on the Western Front until much later, about the November, December time. And I suppose a more fitting choice would perhaps have been the Jagdpanzer IV, at least the sort of non-upgun variant. But I suppose really fear that might have been a bit too much like the Sturm IV in terms of looks. A bit of sneaking in and out of the house of both sides, riflemen running away. Slaithium pushing through in the east. Armored cars cutting down these riflemen, but the British are pushing on in the west faithfully for King George. Not letting any dirty Huns stop them in their task to raise the Union Jack wherever they go. Panzer Grenadiers under fire, but looks like a small coherent defensive line has been formed by Slaithium in the east. For how long though I cannot say, but the British are really doing some terrible things to YYYXXX. Armored cars and a Hetzer are now arriving, or well, assault gun or tank destroyer, whatever. Although again a Jagdpanzer IV would have been more fitting, or perhaps a Sturm III, about the same size I believe, and they both have a remote controlled machine gun in fact. Puma moving in, could get him buttoned up, but it's not going to be taking an awful lot of damage. There we go, the Bren guns are not able to really penetrate the thick armor of the heavy armored cars, and stormtroopers arriving Bundle grenade. Gewaltige Ladung. And some quite extraordinary losses for the reconnaissance section. 4 knocked out by a single bundle grenade. Hooray. Hetzer firing away. 4 kills already. Good show. Again, the Hetzer is not entirely bad against infantry, actually. So keep that in mind. And again, it can sort of work as an assault gun, a bit like a Stug. Decent against infantry, good against armor. Another bundle grenade, really, because the British troops are really clumping up, which is rather making bundle grenades a good move there. Causing heavy losses to the British. Medics probably will be moving in to pick up wounded. No, apparently they already have reconstituting another infantry team. The Americans are pushing onwards, ever onwards. Rangers now joining in the fun. False grenades coming under heavy fire. Thompson submachine guns tearing through them. Looks like something's going up in the base. A supply yard has gone up. Going to decrease the upkeep. Heads are attacking the base. And looks like we are seeing a field support truck and the clever move. Just retreating to the headquarters command truck right away there. Interesting. And a Stu 42 has arrived on the field. Sturmabitz is fine fitting. And one thing to note, actually, the 9th SS didn't actually have a Stug-Abteilung. For some reason, it actually only had its 2 battalions of Panzers and no Sturmgeschütz. So the Stug and Hetzer wouldn't even fit in there, of course. For tank destroyers, I suppose we could see Jagdpanzer Force. And of course, there's the Hetzers still. And now the Stu 42 is doing terrible things. And the Hetzer just charging in, crushing everything beneath its treads. Blasting away as well. Stu 42 joining in as well, although the Hetzer is a bit close to everything. Piet's now rounding in on it. Rangers moving in from the rear. Bazookas could be doing some terrible things. There we go. Stu 42 though not that slow and turning about. Rangers coming under fire from Stormtrooper Stu 42. And the Hetzer is reporting Mad Dog, Englishman and Idioten. Seems quite apt. But it's firing away. Gaining quite a few kills actually. Stu 42, oh dear, right in the middle of everything. But the Hetzer scores a kill. The Puma knocked out. The Stu 42 rear armor exposed. Stormtrooper slaughtered. Oh dear, and the Americans are once more pushing through in the east. Again, remember, the AI can be absolutely ruthless. If it smells weakness in your lines, it will break through. It will do terrible things. It will kill you. So again, do not underestimate the AI. Yes, if you can put up a coherent defense, it's going to be utterly useless. But at the exact moment it smells weakness, you're in for it. And really, it's pushing through hard here in the east, really doing terrible things. The Heads are desperately holding the line, firing away with main gun and light machine guns mounted on top. Riflemen, they're getting gunned down. Oh dear, they need to be retreated, but will the AI realize this? And currently it looks like Kampfgruppe Slaithium has been pushed back into the base. Stu 42 immobilized. Heads are just crushing through those Rangers, gaining veterancy too, my goodness. Quite the Heads are right there. And looks like the Hetzers are really the thing that's currently saving the day for the Americans. Engineer team cleared out by the Hetzers. Riflemen moving in, but they're getting gunned down by the Hetzer. 22 kills, a Hetzer ace. The next relic. Mini campaign, Hetzer ace. Well, not really. Could be fun though. And another Hetzer moves in, but in sticky bomb range. But no, it moves beyond it. Right into another series of Riflemen, but then no, Riflemen caught between 2 Hetzers. Getting torn to bits. British are moving out. Lots of Piets, lots of infantry everywhere. And not enough infantry from the Axis. In fact, YYYXXX has no infantry. Has only has Hetzers and Kettenkrats. My goodness. Stu 42 still hanging about. Pioneers moving into repair. Large force of infantry just buttons down the heads. Oh dear. Lots of anti-tank fire being leveled at it. Bazookas, Piets, socks with bombs in them, aka sticky bombs. And there we go, bazookas hitting, but they deflect. And no, the Stu 42 veterans, you won on it though, but it's not enough. The Piets knock it out, and the Pioneers were lost as well. Hetzers doing what they can to hold the line, heavily damaged. Hordes of British infantry are moving in. Stormtroopers, false grenades moving in. Bundle grenades flying. Grenades being exchanged. The Heads are slowly pulling out. or at least some are. Others are moving, in fact, into the throng. And another Stu-42 moves in. Opens up, gets a kill. Or not even that. And these heads are getting hunted down. Having taken too many allied lives, they are now moving in to exact vengeance, to slay the beast. And the Stu-42 manages somehow to turn the tide, interestingly enough. Rangers are still there, though, and the allies are still holding most of the map. But looks like YYYXXX is doing some really sneaky harassment with his kitten crowd. And I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. Having been utterly pushed back, Kampfgruppe Slaithium is in dire trouble, lacking infantry, lacking pioneers. Barely any armor. They have been pushed into a corner and beaten blue, yellow, and pink. Oh, wait, not pink, but more purple? I'm not sure, but there we go. Not looking good at all currently. They are lacking on infantry, they're lacking in armor. And then again, the allied forces do seem to be, while awfully reckless, awfully aggressive, they do seem to sort of displaying a flaw. They're not really good at that cover business. Are not really good at getting any heavier than infantry, which again could work against them if utilized properly. A Tiger, for example, could really put a stop to this, and looks like he might be going for that. Good job there, but again, they're lacking infantry. They really need something to add into the volume of fire, and they don't have that at the moment. That's really going to work out dangerously for them if they do not work out that. But the major problem really seems to have been that Slaithium was pretty terrible at protecting his flanks, which really allowed the American AI commander to go absolutely nuts on his flanks, and it did. Again, it can really do some terrible stuff if you allow it that slight weakness. And the British commander is doing all right now that the AI commander has really saved his bacon, and he's also pushing forwards, but he might want to get an armored command truck and stop relying on British blobs, because some assault grenades and Stu-42s can really do some nasty damage there again if they do it right. And let's return to the match and see how this actually goes. Heads are Stu-42s firing. Cannon crowds moving in, and of course, since the tank doctrine, they can actually tank destroy doctrine, they can actually repair. And Rangers getting gunned down by the Hetzers. 17 kills on this one, 27 on the other. Bergtiger on the field, beginning to pull back. Together, destroyed, or at least wrecked German vehicles. Rangers under fire from Stu-42, and Hetzer taking heavy losses, trying their best to stall this, but with no luck. Engineers moving in. Not sure why. Slaithium sending in whatever infantry can muster, and oh dear, the mortar half-tank is instantly coming under fire again. And it's knocked out again. That was very short-lived. And the Bergtiger begins repairing, but note, Bergtigers do take more damage, are easier to penetrate and all that when they're repairing vehicles. And as you know there, the Hetzer just took an extreme amount of damage from the Rangers, but the Rangers themselves are taking heavy damage. German troops, armor, everything moving in, trying to stop these sneaky Rangers. And the Rangers are getting absolutely torn to bits. They were exhausted and now they're dead. American forces putting in armors. It looks like a Stuart light tank has arrived to provide some light arm support. Although against the Hetzers that can easily end up badly. There we go, hit, and the Hetzers on the other hand deflects the munitions, but the Stuart does not stop, although it might want to do that before it's knocked out. There we go, retreating, awfully blackened, and blown to bits. The commander popping his head up was sent on a free ride. Come on, take a free ride. Anyhow, Stormtroopers, Pulse Grenadiers pushing on in the north, Pioneers in the south, but they really are lacking in infantry. But there we go, some Panzer Grenadiers with assault rifles, British troops in the north. Interesting. And now the British horde is once more advancing, but looks like a split. Oh, button grenade right there. Excellent button grenade, and now assault grenades. Yes, indeed. Using the weakness of the British blob, its close proximity to each other, and of course, an ridiculous amount of British infantry lying in the middle of everything. A lot of wounded, a lot of dead. Good show here by these chaps. Good exploitation of blobbing. Rangers moving in. Oh dear, Hetzer might be knocked out. Veteran Hetzer, get out of there. 32 kills on the other, my goodness. But this was really a mismove by IvanandDmitriy. A few well-placed munitions, and that was all turned to nothing. Kettenkrad blown to bits. Bergtiger moving in, picking together what it can. Looks like another Stu 42 might be put together while itself is being repaired by Panzer Grenadiers. More are in fact arriving on the field. Veteran T2 for the German armor, it looks like. Giving it a light machine gun on top. This is good. This is going to be helping against all of this infantry. In fact, and assault gun machine guns for Stu 42s and Stuks are quite good. Geschützwagons also apply, but the Americans are not giving up. Moving ever onwards, throwing in a lot of Rangers in fact. But no supply yet upgrades, a bit unfortunate. And let us return to IvanandDmitriy. No doctrine whatsoever, that's quite unfortunate. He probably could have gotten himself a much better advantage than he'd done so. But sadly he seems to have been forgetting that. Mortar rounds flying, and looks like the British blob is once more moving in. A wave of infantry. Stu 42 lost again very shortly after. Hetzers and another Stu 42 moving in, opening up on this. Mortar half-track joining in the fun as well. Panzer Grenadiers lost to all of the fire. Stu 42 landing, mortar rounds doing so as well, suppressing and killing. Oh dear, awfully clumped up. Hetzer though coming under fire. Oh dear, it's the 35 kill Hetzer, it's the veteran, it's... oh dear, tragic. Stu 42 not doing much, it's suppressing some, but it seems having hard trouble killing anyone. Stormtroopers marching in. Stu 42 coming under heavy fire, but somehow the Piat rounds all miss. Bundle grenades, assault grenades. Oh dear, that's quite an expenditure of munitions, but the British all running. And looks like he's gone for Scottish engineers, calling in Churchill tanks. They have been buffed a bit against infantry, but still not sure why. Commanders might have been a better bet, perhaps artillery. I bet he had all of the command points to actually get himself a priest to really bombard the German positions, but there we go. Instead though, a Tiger has arrived. Tiger sent in to reinforce something. Oh dear, and there we go, the barn blown to bits, the Rangers inside also blown to bits. Tiger turning its gaze against all of these Rangers, my goodness, looks like an entire platoon of Rangers has been sent in. And now it's getting blown to bits. Bazooka rockets everywhere. And looks like the Rangers are taking extreme losses, the Tiger just killing whatever stands before it. 10 kills already. Heads is being pulled together, good show. Sticky bomb going off on the Stu 42 mortar rounds landing. Looks like this is the counter-attack that is actually putting through that Kampfgruppe Slaithium needed. The Tiger leading the spearhead. Its high explosive shells turning everything it sees into pulp or scrap metal. Looks like the Churchill is apparently doing a little. Interesting enough. But the British troops are right out in the middle of everything. They are extreme good targets again. Do not blob up. Again, do not blob up. This is very tragic, but again, once again with the British, and something rather fitting with the market guard day. So there you go. My fault. On the other hand, it does show the reason why you need to keep your flanks covered, and of course, a good casualty clearing station, really reforming infantry, but the rest are just getting shredded, slaughtered, massacred, murdered. The Churchill moves in, but it's coming under quite a bit of fire. The heads are getting extremely well repaired, except the main gun, but there we go. Stu 42 under quite a bit of fire. Tiger taking shots, but the Churchill is unable to penetrate. And I'm sure the British commander is really cursing that he didn't put up a Marmot command truck a lot before to get himself some Fireflies. Perhaps Cromwell's that could actually have done a bit more, instead of letting even his sappers to having to get close, exposing themselves to an awful lot of fire. That's rather the problem with them. Out in the open, they're not going to do much. Stu 42 might be out, but so might this Churchill. And Churchill is no more. British infantry absolutely vandalized. Their bodies ruined. And looks like Slaithium is also pushing through in the east. Collapse on all front for the British. There are 2 heavy lines and infantry turning against them now. And the fates of the Tiger. 34 kills already. Stormtroopers advancing in as well, getting a few kills here and there. Rangers moving in though. Bergtiger as well. Let us... I rather wonder if YYYXXX has gotten himself any Yak Panthers. No, certainly not. That could have been fun to actually see as well. Sappers once more moving in with Piats. Oh dear, 242 might be lost. No, they miss. Interesting enough, there's been no actual emplacements either to sort of create up a defensive backline. And again, you would sort of expect that, but apparently again he was sort of caught up in the blobbing, and that was rather his problem. Rather lack of strategic foresight on many levels. Not really expecting heavy armor to be used against him, and this Tiger is just shrugging it all off and tearing the Allied forces a new one. Stu 42 also joining in. Extreme losses for the British. 38 kills, 37 kills. Stu 42 hits also getting some kills. Bergtiger getting repaired. And now the Stu 42 advancing in. No Stooks actually. Rangers in the south. Headquarters command truck probably on fire by now. British troops are hiding, absolutely broken down, but apparently making a last desperate charge against the Tiger. But the Bergtiger moves in, ready to repair its brother. But apparently not. Apparently it can't decide. No, the Kampfgruppe does it. No, the Kampfgruppe. What's going on here? What's repairing what, and why aren't they repairing the Tiger? Rangers looks like they're getting gunned down by all the other firepower. Oh dear, frame rate drop. Mortar rounds landing. British troops flying to all sides. Only a veteran T3 lieutenant almost remains. Headquarters command truck is no more. And this is just looking brutal. Germans holding up in the center. Still no Yak Panthers though. Lieutenant making a desperate run for it. So it was something of a battle, although I suppose it could have been ended a lot earlier had someone protected the flanks a bit better. Armored cars opening up on all of these Rangers. Now pulling back again. Not sure how many Rangers actually have been lost in this fight. But I wouldn't be too surprised if a small company wouldn't be the answer. And looks like the Kampfgruppe Slaithium has now amassed a ridiculous amount of armor somehow in all armored vehicles. Rangers getting slaughtered, turned to dust. Very bloody dust though, still dust. My goodness, all the troops just hanging about here. Shredded, wounded. This is certainly looking like the utter collapse of the 30th Armored Corps. Headquarters command truck not looking too good either. More Rangers. And a Churchill AVRE, not sure that's going to do anything. In fact, I'm pretty confident it's not. Heads are going to get a good shot on the flank. And not much else actually, it seems. Slaithium's armor is now moving towards the American base. Which is going to be encountering an awful lot of very depleted Rangers. Churchill AVRE going hull down. Firing off a petard round on the Tiger, not doing much. And Blitzkrieg increasing the rate of fire and the movement. Stormtroopers rushing in. They also have a slightly increased rate of fire, but I'm not sure that actually does anything. German munitions now just flying, being just sent throughout the air. quite the rate of fire actually. Killing everything. Completely wiping the American base off the face of the earth. Armor veterans free, giving the Stu-42s armored skirts. And looks like the Rangers have rather realized they are not going to be able to make it. They're just hanging back. I'd rather say things are looking pretty dead. So let's speed things up. Now this is going to go much better. But apparently it was rather close for Kampfgruppe Slaithium, down to only 28 victory points. The Jagdpanther also joining in, and there we go, a victory for the fatherland, the Kampfgruppe Slaithium. Certainly making things very difficult for Operation Market Garden. 30th Corps has been delayed. So, what can we learn from this? Well, rather we didn't see any mines. We saw some good uses of a casualty clearing station though, picking up a lot of wounded. We also saw that just spamming Rangers isn't the key to victory, but on the other hand, exploiting sort of weak points, sort of exploiting exposed flanks, which the AI actually did rather extremely, can actually go pretty well. I mean, it rather forced back the Germans into their own bases, and they rather suffered badly, partly also because Slaithium has rather overextended itself. He's sort of right a bit in the east, a bit in the west, and then he actually went directly for the armored cars, which can usually work in sort of 1 versus 1s, but at the same time in 2 versus 2s you can end up rather exposing yourself, and he did so there. The Puma Schwere Panzer didn't do too much. He also relied perhaps a bit too much on Stu-42s, although they did do some damage. Then again, a Stu-4 could also have done a bit perhaps, so could have some more infantry, and rather that was also one of the main lackings, infantry, and they only sort of later on, at least the Panzer League commander did get some after losing all of his. That was certainly not too well either, although the Tiger certainly was the key to victory. And the Hetzers actually did pretty well there, so again, sort of keep that in mind. Hetzers can actually do pretty well against infantry if you handle them well. But there you go, Operation Market Garden. First day of that, might hope to do some more games of that, but there you go, hope you enjoyed. If you did, want to subscribe or tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.